From the moment Amanda stepped into Greenfield High, she became the target of cruel jokes and heartless whispers. The boys laughed at her whenever she walked past, and the girls snickered behind her back. They called her names: Fatso, Hippo, Elephant, as if her weight defined her entire existence. Amanda was born like every normal child. Her birth brought immense joy to the family, as her parents had always wished for a baby girl. But as soon as Amanda turned 1, something strange happened. Amanda would eat, yet never be satisfied. At first, her parents thought it was just a normal phase for a baby to always want more food. However, they soon realized that Amanda's stomach was like a bottomless pit, never full. As Amanda grew older, her parents became very worried. Amanda became a source of concern to them. They had 2 boys before they gave birth to her, but they didn't experience this with any of them. Amanda began to gain drastic weight. She outgrew all her cloth almost every month. They had to shop for new cloth every time. People often told her parents that it was just baby fat, that as she gets to puberty, it will all shed away. But as she grew older, nothing really changed. Despite her weight, Amanda was always eating everything she sees. She couldn't control her appetite. She was never satisfied, no matter the quantity of food she ate. Everything took a drastic turn when Amanda entered high school. The first day of high school was supposed to be a fresh start, but for Amanda, it felt like a nightmare repeating itself. She stood in front of Greenfield High, gripping the straps of her backpack, willing herself to take a step forward. The large school building loomed ahead, its doors welcoming students into a place where friendships were formed, dreams were nurtured, and unfortunately, where cruel words were thrown like daggers. As Amanda stepped into her class, all the students turned to look at her with an awkward look and immediately burst into laughter at the same time. Amanda felt so humiliated that she covered her face in shame. Throughout that day, she felt so sad. She sat quietly on her own at the back of the class. But she continued to hear whispers of girls talking about her, and some turning to her and laughing. Amanda was a girl with a kind heart, a bright mind, and a big dream. But there was one thing about her that made her different. Amanda was fat. In class, Amanda felt out of place. Whenever she raised her hand to answer a question, some students would whisper, "Why is the fat girl talking?" When she walked into the cafeteria, she could hear murmurs like, "She's probably going to eat everything." Amanda pretended she didn't care. She kept her head high and tried to focus on her studies. But deep inside, every cruel word felt like a knife stabbing her heart. At night, she would cry herself to sleep, wondering why she was born this way. Why am I so ugly and fat? Amanda always knew what was coming. She always did. As she walked through the school gates, the whispers started almost immediately. "Oh my God, look at her. She's as big as an elephant." She bit her lip and kept her eyes fixed on the hallway ahead. She had learned long ago that reacting only made things worse. If she cried, they laughed harder. If she snapped, they called her crazy. If she ignored them, they kept going. Her heart pounded as she moved through the crowded hall, her presence impossible to miss. Students shoved past her, acting like she was in their way. And then, just as she reached her locker, the voice she dreaded the most rang out. "Hey, Amanda." She froze. Jason. Jason was the most popular boy in their grade. Tall, good-looking, and always surrounded by a group of admirers. He was the kind of boy every girl wanted to impress. But Amanda only wanted to escape him. She turned around slowly, knowing exactly what was coming. Jason leaned against a locker, his smirk already in place. "You might want to avoid the cafeteria today," he said loudly. "I heard they're running low on food. Can't risk you eating everything." Laughter exploded around him. Amanda's cheeks burned, but she kept her expression blank. She wouldn't let them see that it hurt. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction. "Wow, Jason," she said, forcing herself to sound calm. "I didn't know you cared so much about my diet." Should I expect a meal plan from you? A few people chuckled, but Jason wasn't amused. His smirk faltered for a second before he regained control. Trust me, Amanda, he said, shaking his head. Nothing could help you. More laughter. Amanda swallowed hard and turned away. She had survived worse. She would survive this too. As she walked down the hall, she whispered to herself the same words she repeated every morning. Just get through today. But deep down, she wished for more than just survival. She wished for a day when she wouldn't have to fight to exist. Amanda had always been invisible in the places that mattered. In the classroom, she was the quiet girl who sat at the back, hoping the teacher wouldn't call on her. Not because she didn't know the answers, she was actually one of the smartest students in her grade, but because she hated the stares. Whenever she spoke, someone would whisper, "Why is the fat girl talking?" At lunch, she sat alone in the cafeteria, eating as quickly as possible so she could leave before someone made a comment about her food. Gym class was the worst. "All right, class." Coach Peters clapped his hands together. "Today we're running laps." Amanda's stomach twisted. She hated running, not because she was lazy, but because she knew what would happen. As soon as she started, people would laugh. They'd point at her struggling to keep up. They'd whisper about how ridiculous she looked. "Come on, Amanda." One of the girls, Olivia, said mockingly. "Try to keep up." Amanda clenched her fists and forced herself to run. Her breath came out in heavy pants, and within seconds, she could feel sweat trickling down her back. The other students passed her easily, but she didn't care. She just wanted to be done. "She looks like she's about to pass out," someone whispered. She pushed through, ignoring them. By the time she reached the finish line, she was the last one. "Again. Maybe we should give her a scooter next time," Jason said, laughing. The whole class erupted into laughter. Amanda wanted to disappear. That evening, Amanda sat in her room, staring at the ceiling. The pain from the day still clung to her like a heavy weight, but there was one thing that always brought her comfort: singing. She picked up her old hairbrush, holding it like a microphone. Closing her eyes, she began to sing softly. Her voice filled the room, smooth and powerful. When she sang, she wasn't the fat girl who got laughed at. She wasn't Amanda, the girl they mocked. She was just a girl with a dream. Amanda. Her grandmother's voice called from outside her door. She quickly put the brush down. "Yes, Grandma." Her grandmother walked in, smiling warmly. "I heard you singing," she said. "Why don't you let the world hear that beautiful voice?" Amanda sighed. "Because the world only sees one thing when they look at me." Her grandmother walked over and cupped her face gently. "Then make them listen." Those words stayed with Amanda all night. Could she? Would they listen? The next morning, an announcement changed everything. "The school talent show is coming up," the principal's voice echoed through the speakers. "Sign up now to show the world what you can do." Amanda's heart pounded. Maybe, just maybe, this was her chance. The moment Amanda heard the announcement about the talent show, her heart raced. She had always loved singing. It was the one thing that made her feel free, the one place where she wasn't the fat girl but just a girl with a voice. But performing in front of the whole school? That was terrifying. What if they laughed at her? What if they booed her off the stage? Amanda shook her head. "No, I can't do this." But later that evening, as she sat at the dinner table with her grandmother, the conversation took a turn. "Amanda," Grandma Rose said, setting her spoon down, "are you going to sign up for the talent show?" Amanda hesitated. "I don't know, Grandma. What if they laugh at me?" Grandma Rose reached for Amanda's hand. "My dear, do you know what happens when you let fear decide for you?" Amanda shook her head. "You let the world tell you who you are instead of showing them yourself," said firmly. "You have a gift, Amanda, and gifts are meant to be shared." Amanda looked down at her plate, thinking, maybe Grandma was right. Maybe this was her chance to show them that she was more than her weight. The next day, she did something she never thought she'd do. She walked up to the sign-up sheet outside the auditorium, and she wrote her name. The moment Amanda's name appeared on the talent show list, the school erupted in whispers. Did you see who signed up? Amanda? The fat girl? Is she going to do a food eating contest? Jason and Olivia were the loudest. Jason smirked as he read the list. What's she going to do? Dance? Hope the stage doesn't break? Olivia laughed. I bet she sings. She probably thinks she's the next Adele or something. Amanda heard them. She heard them all, but she refused to back down. Every time she felt doubt creeping in, she repeated her grandmother's words in her head. You have a gift, Amanda, and gifts are meant to be shared. With the show just a week away, Amanda started practicing every day after school. She locked herself in her room, standing in front of the mirror, holding her hairbrush like a microphone. She sang her heart out. But even though she loved singing, doubt still lingered in the back of her mind. What if I freeze on stage? What if I sound terrible? What if? Stop, she told herself. She had to do this. Not for them. Not to prove anything. She had to do it for herself. Her grandmother noticed her hesitation one evening and sat beside her. You're scared, Grandma Rose said gently. Amanda nodded. What if I mess up? Her grandmother smiled. Then you get back up and keep going, because that's what strong people do. Amanda took a deep breath. She had made her decision. She was going to sing, and she was going to give it everything she had. The night before the talent show, Amanda could barely sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. She imagined herself standing on that big stage, the bright lights shining down on her, all eyes fixed on her. But instead of applause, she heard laughter. Instead of cheers, she heard whispers. She's so big, she can barely fit on the stage. She thinks she can sing? What a joke! Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. What if tomorrow was a disaster? What if she failed? She turned on her side, clutching her pillow. Maybe I should just fake an illness and not show up. Just then, there was a soft knock on her door. Amanda, are you awake? It was Grandma Rose. Amanda wiped her eyes and sat up. Yeah, her grandmother walked in, her gentle smile comforting as always. She sat beside Amanda on the bed and took her hand. I know what you're thinking, Grandma said. Amanda looked down. I don't think I can do this, Grandma. What if they laugh at me? Grandma Rose squeezed her hand. And what if they don't? Amanda hesitated. What if instead of laughter they listen? She continued. What if for the first time they truly see you? Amanda swallowed hard. But I'm scared. Her grandmother nodded. That's what makes this important. The things that scare us the most are the things worth doing. Amanda took a deep breath. Maybe Grandma was right. Maybe it was time to stop letting fear decide her future. She hugged her grandmother tightly, whispering, Thank you, Grandma. That night, she fell asleep with a new thought in her mind. Tomorrow I won't run. Tomorrow I'll sing. The auditorium buzzed with excitement. The entire school was packed inside, students chatting loudly as they waited for the show to begin. Amanda stood backstage, gripping the microphone in her trembling hands. Her stomach twisted with nerves. She peeked through the curtain and saw Jason and Olivia sitting in the front row, smirking. They were waiting for her to fail. No, Amanda, you belong here. The show started. One by one, students went up and performed. There were dancers, comedians, and even a magician. Then, the announcer called her name. Amanda Williams, everyone. The room fell silent. Amanda took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. As she reached the center, she felt hundreds of eyes on her. Some were curious. Some were amused. She spotted Jason whispering to Olivia. Her hand shook, but then she thought of her grandmother. What if they listen? The music started. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. And then she sang. At first, the audience was quiet. Then, something changed. Her voice filled the auditorium, strong and pure. Every note carried her pain, her dreams, her strength. People stopped whispering. They stopped smirking. They started listening. As she reached the final note, the room was silent. And then, thunderous applause. The entire hall erupted into cheers. Amanda opened her eyes, stunned. Jason's mouth hung open in shock. Olivia sat frozen in her seat. Teachers clapped. Students stood on their feet, cheering. Amanda felt tears well up. For the first time in her life, she wasn't invisible. For the first time, she wasn't the fat girl. She was Amanda, the girl with the golden voice. And nothing would ever be the same again. Amanda stood frozen on stage, staring out at the audience. The applause thundered through the auditorium, a sound she had never imagined hearing in her honor. For years, the only attention she had received was filled with ridicule. But now, they weren't laughing. They weren't whispering. They were cheering for her. Her heart pounded. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she quickly blinked them away. They're clapping for me, she thought in disbelief. As she stepped off the stage, students she had never spoken to before rushed toward her. That was amazing, Amanda. Wow, I had no idea you could sing like that. You totally owned the stage. For the first time in her life, she felt seen, not for her weight, but for something she had inside of her all along. Then, just as she was soaking it all in, she saw them. Jason and Olivia. Jason still had a stunned look on his face, as if he couldn't believe what had just happened. Olivia, on the other hand, looked annoyed. You got lucky, Olivia muttered as she crossed her arms. It's just a silly talent show. Amanda met her gaze, something inside her shifting. Before tonight, those words would have hurt her. But not anymore. She smiled. Call it luck if you want, she said calmly. But I know what I'm capable of now. Jason didn't say a word. For once, he had nothing to mock her about. Amanda turned away, feeling lighter than she ever had before. She had won, not the competition, but something far more important. She had won her confidence. The following Monday, everything felt different. As Amanda walked through the school hallways, people greeted her with smiles instead of whispers. Hey, Amanda, that was an awesome performance. You should totally audition for The Voice. For the first time in years, Amanda walked with her head held high. But she knew the biggest change wasn't in how others saw her. It was in how she saw herself. She wasn't just the fat girl anymore. She was Amanda, a girl with talent, a girl with dreams, a girl who refused to be defined by what others thought of her. And no matter what happened next, she would never let anyone silence her voice again.